Good morning, Acadiana, and welcome to another edition of Morning Coffee with Big Al
and Specialty.
We're happy to be coming to you from Cypress Street Radio, AOC Community's streaming broadcast.
Look for us every morning at 8 a.m. to start your morning off right. That's right in a good way.
Not right as in radical right. We bring you good ideas, good pastimes, and who knows what else.
With a progressive flair. Okay, we got to get that going. Eventually, we're going to get it right, Al. I don't know, but anyway.
It's easier when we're in the same
we're going to get it right. That 7 p.m. stream is a great backdrop also for decaf and peace of mind. So either day, either way, either time, get your beverage of choice, preferably coffee, which where'd mine go? Anyway, coffee, something lighter, maybe a Coke or some water, which is like free, or maybe stronger, like something that's not free. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Coffee, tea, or something stronger.
Yes, coffee, tea, or
Willie
something
would
stronger.
Say.
Absolutely. So.
Sounds good.
Okay, do you think I have time to take a quick run and get my coffee so I have some energy?
Oh, I think you could probably do that.
And you can talk to folks while I'm away, all right?
Well, that sounds
Maybe you
good.
Can tell them about our 311 call and give
yes,
some
I could probably do that. But,
I'll be right back.
Well, folks, right now, Specialty's taking a little break to get her morning coffee, and I've already had mine, so we're just waiting on the I guess you could say the rest of the crew to get here.
Yes.
She wanted me to mention that she got some good info from Lafayette's 311 number, which apparently is info service, I guess, provided by Lafayette, the Lafayette
government.
Yeah, just LCG or that.
Well, you know, I keep wondering what LCG is. Supposedly we voted to disband it, but
oh, really?
We hadn't figured it out yet.
Okay.
We do know that the city and the parish vote as two separate entities, but somehow we have the same guy over both. He's the mayor and the president, which was what they had during consolidated government. It seems like they would have maybe two different people who could talk and decide things, you know, in the best interest of one or the other. But instead, they're relying on this one person to make all those decisions as an authority figure.
Yeah, well, that's what we need. We need authority figures around here.
yeah, that's what we got.
Speaking of authority, you would sound more authoritative
if I did my microphone better.
Yeah.
Okay, let me redo it. I had it upside down. Oh well,
that sounds good.
That's par for the course. And while we're giving kudos to 311 in Victoria, who had let me know that there's actually an administrative assistant over council. Yes, there's an administrative assistant. Now, if that's anything like the other administrative assistants that I know, they seem to have more knowledge and capability of getting things achieved than any of the representatives or officers. That's been my experience. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's sometimes the case. It just brings back kind of a funny memory for me about the secretaries that we used to have when I was working, which was a while back, of course. But I was talking to a manager one time at, I forgot what facility exactly, probably at Lake Charles, and he said something to the effect that you know, a lot of times these secretaries know more than the manager. And he says, but that's not the case here.
Oh, well, of course not. That little sidebar, you know.
Yeah,
I'm the boss, and I know everything.
Well, this was,
just be good lip service.
Well, it was, some of them were really, like the one here at Lafayette was very, I mean, she knew how to get stuff done. She knew who to talk to, what to do.
We're talking about the secretary as opposed to the manager?
Yes, yes. And so it's just, I guess it's like anything else. It's a question of competency.
Do we have some men secretaries? I would think so.
Oh, I'm sure we do. I don't think there's any law excluding them, but
well, we have secretaries in government. There's the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Aquan or something like that. Ardouin.
Oh,
Kyle Ardouin. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, I guess. I'm not. You're talking about locally.
And then no, he's actually the state secretary of this whole state. And then we have the secretary over the transportation who leads DOTD, and that is Dr. Sean Wilson, who is seeing a lot of activity right now owing to the fact that we've got funding, lots of funding for infrastructure improvement. Everywhere I go, I see roads being worked on. You know what I wish, though? I wish what we saw were roads that looked into the future, and supposedly at some point in time, the roads will be set in a way that when you drive on them, they will actually power your electric cars, so you don't have to sit at one of those charging stations. Of course, that's very futuristic.
Well, you know, I read something about that recently. They did that in France.
Oh, really? Did it work?
Not very well. I don't know.
It's always good to have somebody else test the system.
Yeah. I don't know what the issue or issues were, but it apparently didn't work as planned.
Right. Okay.
So,
well, back to the drawing board.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Well, you know, I was a big advocate for the STEVEM. Have you ever heard of the STEVEM?
I don't think so.
It was developed in actually as a more or less as an entertainment thing, I think. But some folks took it another level. It is like a monorail system that is like these little pods that are powered by pedaling. So you get from point A to point B and get exercise on the way. I think that they would be like air conditioned inside, and they would provide a way to get to something that has a lot of traffic, like the university. I mean, that would be a good way to use it as like for a university, because kids are more apt to be in better shape. And they could use these pods to get to point A to point B and back without the normal traffic. And then if you had a slow guy, you know, when a fast guy came, it would help to push it along faster. And the way they showed it, it actually would go like underground and overground, and it looked really cool. And it won some sort of a competition for funding that I think came through Google. And it's out of New Zealand.
I guess I'm not familiar with that at all.
Well, it was many years ago. I mean, it was over 10 years ago at least. So apparently it didn't get off the ground, or I haven't seen it. But I know that it is something that they do for fun, like an amusement park in New Zealand. The videos for it were really cool. I think it was SCHWEEB. Schweib, or maybe SHW. But I'll have to look and see if it's still there, and if it is, I'll show it to our wonderful tech person. Maybe he can put it on our intermission, and y'all can see the illustrious Schweib in action. Of course, it's like an animated thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's another animated thing that's kind of interesting, but kind of gruesome. It has to do with nuclear armament.
Okay.
And what it does is it shows you the impact of nuclear exposure if you're a person.
Okay.
Not nice.
Yeah, I think that's...
It is animated. And I hate to tell you, but that's worth seeing too, because we really need to do something about this, I think.
What's that, the current conflict we have going on?
Well, we don't, not necessarily in conflict. I mean, I've been kind of studying this for months now. And there's a book that was written by a whistleblower who was actually one of the people to develop the protocol for response in a nuclear attack, or an attempt to respond to a war conflict with a nuclear order, and the checks, to make sure it's not something that happened by accident. I don't know if you watched Dr. Strangelove lately.
I haven't lately, but I have it pretty well memorized.
It's a very memorable movie. I had never seen it until lately. Really? And there was I know, I never did. I lived a very sheltered childhood.
Yeah.
My mother got really upset when she heard that I watched Up the Down Staircase with a friend of mine in the neighborhood. We walked to the movie theater that had opened up and watched a movie every week. It didn't matter what it was, as long as they let us in. And that was one of them. And anyway, but like I said, sheltered childhood. Lots of movies I'm actually checking out of the library because my mother said I couldn't watch them. Like Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
Like, hello, what's the problem with this? But
yeah, anyway. I watched a movie the other day that had Audrey Hepburn in it, and Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's what it was.
Okay, that's a good old classic.
Yeah.
Everybody loved Audrey.
Yeah, it was interesting. I hadn't seen it. I saw, I think, Roman Holiday a while back. That was also pretty good.
Yeah, I like the one where she had the romance with the two brothers. What was that?
Oh, that I don't know.
That's really cute. I think Sabrina.
Okay, could be.
I think Sabrina was the name of it, and that was a interesting little story. But Audrey, she was loved by men and women alike. I mean, she was just so classy and always just charming actress.
Yeah.
But anyway, regarding the nuclear issue, they had at the library, and now you are going to go look for it, but I have to return it first. There is a 48th annual edition that has linked to it the option of, like many of these movies, these DVDs that you get at the library have like special features. This has a documentary that actually was put together after the World Trade Center attack on 9/11.
Okay.
Well, that's fairly recent, and so it had that. Oh dear, hold on. I have to set this up. I'm sorry, I have this going on. Let me Please text me. Anyway, to have that perspective on nuclear, that recent is like a real eye-opener too. And then they also had a documentary that had like speeches from Kennedy and interviews with Robert McNamara from the Cuban Missile Crisis and other things. And just within the last 2 weeks, there has been a radio podcast or show on NPR that talks about an accident, a false alarm that went out. I think one of those was during the close to the Cuban Missile Crisis. But Khrushchev, essentially not at the lead of the nation of the USSR, was the person to make a decision as to whether to call out the guards and, do retaliatory missile launches of nuclear weapons. Okay? And he held back. He was like, I really don't think that I think this is a false alarm. And essentially he saved the world. Because if he had responded a different way and sent nuclear weapons, then we would go into Holocaust and even though the bombs are less powerful than they will be now, they still would have done so much damage. Now, the bombs we have now are way worse than the bombs we had when we bombed Hiroshima. I mean, they're saying like 60 times more powerful and bigger and destructive. But when you look at the destruction that it wielded back then, and supposedly even now, 70 years later, there's still health issues that people who happen to be close enough to be affected and still survive are suffering. Not to mention...
the yield is adjustable on a lot of them. But there are... there are some that are quite a bit more powerful than...
Well, they got them. They've got them. And then the other thing is if they used any of those, it would essentially annihilate the world. Because what would happen afterwards with regard to the response of what it does to the earth, it would throw up like a cloud that would make a nuclear winter. Yeah. And so if you had that, there would be nothing that we know of would be able to survive. Maybe cockroaches, I don't know.
Well, it's it would definitely create some bad effects. And but I guess, we kind of figured that out after, sometime after 1945. But
right.
It's
but this arms race essentially is like a vicious circle. One person gets one bigger, and we got to get one bigger than them, and no matter what the answer is, it's been always something more powerful among the countries that the two biggest ones are the worst about it, which the United States is one. Yeah. And Russia's the other. You just can't get our act together. The best way to get rid of them is to just actually get rid of them.
Yeah, I guess that involves trust there.
That involves trust.
With the stuff that's been going on lately, it's been kind of another issue that people worry about.
I know. It really is in the news right now. I saw a movie that I had not seen before that was not off the list because it wasn't produced yet. This is a movie that The script was written by Angelina Jolie.
Oh, yeah, I heard something about that.
Yeah, I think I put it on my Facebook. It's called In the Land of Blood and Honey. And it's very riveting. It has to do with the Serbian and Bosnia conflict. But I would think that it would be just as relevant to what's going on now in Ukraine, unfortunately. And it's just it's a very riveting movie. It's in Blu-ray and DVD, and it's at the library. The actress is actually Bosnian, and as odd as it may seem, I actually wrote my daughter, my oldest daughter, who works in Austin at the Capitol. I said, "This is the first time I've seen a movie that had somebody who reminded me of you." Not because of character, but she favors her. They look alike. You know, I have one daughter that looks like what's her name? Scarlett Johansson.
But everything was about to change. The first English voice comes on the radio. It's unsettling, it's distorted, and surprisingly fluent English. The drums, the wind instruments, a sole plane, a minor piano chord. You see the date on the calendar. Something feels off-kilter. They've done a good job to try and make you forget about what's going to happen, but it's still got to happen. The world melts and opens up. It's a nightmare. The dead walk. Horses on fire. This is the apocalypse. Something the author has explained himself, that the sight of his school saved him, but when he awoke, he was in a living hell. Suffering as far as the eye can see. No torment before was this fast or this long-lasting. Barefoot Gen is not a story for the faint of heart. It's full of sadness and moments of extreme tragic horror. But as the creator's widow said, you can't depict war without graphic images. It would be a disservice.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back.
So nice to see you, Al.
Yeah, nothing like the technical difficulties we sometimes...
Not to mention what the weather did. Oh my gosh, this morning, what a storm.
That was a pretty good one.
We had lightning strike, you know the instantaneous strike and the loud clap of thunder at the same time.
Right.
We had that one time earlier since I've been here, and it wasn't that long ago. It's like these what do you call them? They're like, I don't know. It's just like a sudden storm with huge rain and lots of lightning and thunder. So what do you call that? There's got to be a name for it.
Well, some people might call it a cloud burst.
A cloud burst. That's right. Man, but, man, with a lot of electricity.
Well, what we had today was that there's a front coming through, actually.
But it's divided up. Is it in bands? Because we had two of them.
Well, there has been kind of the leading rain band has kind of shifted a little bit since I don't know. I haven't looked at it lately. I don't think I'm gonna try it right now. Since,
so if anybody
might overtax the system, but it was really the main part of the band seemed to be over Lake Charles, and then another band came up basically from the Gulf and kind of superseded that band.
So did they merge or?
Well, I don't know. It's like one of them kind of dissipated and one of them kind of, gained prominence. But
wow. Well, anyway, it was really interesting.
It came a little bit earlier than I was expecting.
Well, I expected some rain earlier in the week, and we did have some, but not like it was what is today. Today is before y'all are looking at us. We have to admit that we're actually recording on a Thursday. No, it's Wednesday.
Yes, it is.
Whoa. Anyway, so who knows what the weather will be when y'all are looking at us. It might be beautiful. It might be awful.
It's supposed to improve over the next day or two quite a bit.
So a nice weekend.
That's what the forecast is saying.
Well, good. That's good. All right. Well, anyway, let me look at my list. My friendly cat is laying on my paperwork. Oh gosh. So let me see. We were talking before about the movie In the Land of Blood and Honey. This thing with the guns.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the weather because I was looking at this awful attack on an elementary school.
Yeah.
I'm upset. I'm like, hey, people need to be called out on this. It needs to be something that is action and not empty words, as far as making it where this is not so prevalent. And I just think that they need to actually stiffen up the process as far as waiting period for getting guns, which if it's a rage thing, maybe it'll provide some buffer to where they'll think twice, but also where I'll tell you what, this business as far as our representatives saying, oh well, no, they ought to be able to pass guns between family and friends. I can tell you for a fact, I know that convicted felons call other people to buy the guns for them if they're gun nuts, And maybe that's not who we're trying to keep from getting guns, but that would be, I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure how long these were planned in advance, as far as, you were talking about a waiting period.
Well, this one, supposedly, the guns were bought like 2 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah, that's what I think I had heard that.
And the, 2 rifles, assault ARs, assault rifles, within days apart.
Yeah, I
and
heard
I don't know if they were from, possibly not from the same location, but they're all, like I said, if there would be, we already talked about this a little bit, but if there was a digital system, I don't know, did we talk about it before we had our show?
I don't know if I'm not sure if,
I think we did.
We had to break, so I'm not,
I think we talked about it before the show. There really needs to be a digital, real-time system that if somebody's buying a bunch of guns, that is an individual, that there's a flag, to watch.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, they can do damage with one gun, but it seems like the people who do this seem to have more than one gun. It's like a backup.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in this case, but it would seem that if somebody bought 2 ARs within a couple of days, that would be. I don't know. I mean, that would be a fairly easy automated computer thing to do. Now, I don't know. And I don't know that they're not already doing that, but it's kind of, I don't know. It is disturbing with the schools and stuff like that. I don't know what the motivation was.
We're talking elementary school children. I mean, the oldest that they could be would be like 12 or 13, but who knows how old? I don't know. They haven't said yet how old these kids were, but it's one classroom.
Yeah.
One classroom. And the guy who did it is a teenager. Another teenager. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that a teenager can buy guns like that.
Well, I guess, I don't know. I guess the guy was 18. I don't know.
He was 18.
Yeah.
That's what the news said. Of course, when the news first came out, they thought more had been killed. Maybe there were some others who were wounded. That they've been just traumatized for life.
Yeah.
It's like our folks that have been in these movie theater shootings.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of to me, it's kind of a sad commentary on the country.
Absolutely.
And a lot of different aspects to it, but I guess there's a certain, it's kind of like a bell curve. I think there's a certain group of people that with things that have been going on, it's kind of pushes them
over the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is a stronger level of stress. I mean, even personally, I've seen that among the people that I interact with. And it's best just not to react,
Yeah.
I think. Just let them do their thing. Try and, give a positive response that, is, de-escalate. And maybe all of us need to go into de-escalation training.
Well, I mean, like, with this person in Uvalde, I mean, I really don't know that much about it, other than
I just know he's got a Spanish name.
Yeah.
And he's 18, and he did a lot of damage.
Yeah, but I mean, there's
and definitely innocent. You know, I mean, people, how deserving could any like elementary school kid be, you know, to get shot while they're in the classroom? That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's.
I know this person will never, you know, have any evaluation to figure out what was, you know, everything's like hindsight because they killed him.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have to kill people either. You know, shoot both his arms where he can't, you know, be like Dirty Harry and shoot the guns out of his hand and then tackle him and put him in jail.
Yeah, well,
You just got, I don't know. There's just got to be a better way.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think the police should kill people either, you know, unless, I don't know. I don't know where do you draw the line? Can you maim and prevent, you know, a problem, get to the root of the problem, but maybe I don't know. I know they've been trained to kill, which is, I don't think that's good either. You know, I don't like it. This is crazy, but I don't like it that we're killing the Russians either. I mean, when we talk about them, oh, we killed this many troops. Well, troops are people too. And, you know, they're not all bad. Even if they're from a country that's led by an, you know, psychopath.
There's a lot more. There's a lot more to that than what's readily available.
We're gonna hear one side.
Well, it depends on who you listen to.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you like Chris Hedges, for instance. I mean, of course, I think it was the New York Times that got rid of him when he started telling people what was going on in the Middle East, what we were doing over there, and you know, I would imagine you've heard of the term manufactured consent.
No. Explain that to me.
Well, it's like, it's basically, it's just the propaganda. I mean, it's like for instance, you take the one particular news source, and I won't mention any names, but they've been, you know, stirring things up. I'll put it.
Yeah.
You know,
and there's more that are under the radar too. That are.
Oh yeah. There's and it's like
following and all that.
And I've seen a lot.
Lots of money and little to do, but, you know, make trouble.
Well, I've seen a lot of, it's just like an incitement, you know, just something to, so many things that could be reported on. And, you know, like, this is what happened, this is what we know, you know, blah, blah, blah. But they got to make it to where, trying to stir up the emotion in someone, you know, let's hate these people because of this, and, you know, let's, you know, own the libs or whatever the thing is. And it's just, you know, it's basically inciting a riot, you know. I mean, not exactly that, but the same.
Well,
principle.
We've seen that at the highest level, but we never expected to see.
Yeah.
Just a few, 2 years ago?
I mean, it's like the January 6th thing.
Well, you know, and before that, with that demonstration holding the Bible up for a photo op. Come on.
Oh, well, it's, but it's like, yes, it's just political discourse. Well, no, I think that's gone a little bit beyond political discourse, but that's the idea is to, one of the factors or the facets of manufacturing consent is getting people where they're willing and interested in doing something that they wouldn't normally be interested in doing. I mean, it's like, for instance, with Iraq and Afghanistan and all that, I mean, we had a little slip of the tongue here recently that you may have heard about, that probably a lot of people heard about, but you remember we got to fight them over there before we have to fight them over here. So it's like, little things that news people, anchor persons, or they're given information, and it's not necessarily true, but they believe it and they broadcast it like it is true. And then people think it's true. I mean, it's like they're going into Kuwait and throwing the babies out of the incubators and stealing the incubators. And, of course, that's gonna, if somebody believes something like that, and I'm not saying I didn't believe it, because maybe they are, I don't know. But, it's kind of, you don't like to see stuff like that.
Right, right.
So much of that, and it's constantly, it's a bombardment of...
and some of it's just crazy. Remember that pizza thing? Yeah. And to where a guy thinks he's doing a good thing to try to save these kids. And I mean, it's all manufactured. It's just insane.
And that's there you go, manufactured consent. And they're, doing this, what was it? Child, I forgot.
Trafficking?
Trafficking, yeah, that's the word. Out of the basement at the pizza place. But oddly enough, the pizza place didn't have a basement,
Yeah.
And the guy goes in there
but that is a really bad topic. I mean, and supposedly, and this is from some priests who actually together with some nuns who have had a school for a number of years, and they don't take in 12 girls or boys who have been abused, but they have a school where they try and I guess reverse the impact of this to give these young people who've been manipulated some sense of worth to be able to live a normal life, a simple life, maybe, yeah, but, more normal, where they're not used as a commodity.
Yeah.
It's just horrible. I mean, and they say that this actually goes on in very, just, I can't even think of the word for it, but very distorted concepts of what people should do morally. To children that it's just horrible. I mean, way, like, it's just unfathomable.
Unfathomable?
Unfathomable.
Yeah.
But there is a school in Louisiana to help, but we are a state ripe with this problem, and it's sad.
Now that I didn't know, but I mean, course, I wasn't aware of the...
They say that when there's like some sort of a big thing like a Super Bowl or Jazz Fest or something that attracts a lot of people, or even Festival International, that's a marketing time.
I hadn't heard that.
I hadn't either, but I learned it at the conference I went to in Little Oklahoma.
Yeah.
These guys came and talked about the problem, and people know it's there, but it's like, how do you spot it, and what can you do about it? You know?
Yeah, that is pretty sad. But I mean, there's just a lot of this really, it has a lot to do with family structure.
Absolutely.
And that's been gradually
deteriorating.
Right, exactly. And
part of it, it's sad to say, but part of it is the fact that because things are so out of reach as far as being able to survive, or being able to feel like that the life you live is good enough, that it just distorts everything. For people who don't understand surviving and living, a life within your means in some respects. But I've told the story before about going with some friends who really seemed pretty normal, and then having them say when they saw Christmas lights that were really, beautiful and probably, more than they could afford, that they hated that person because they had more lights than they could put up themselves. And I don't understand that.
Well, it gets back into the same manufacturing consent concept. It's like the class war that we don't have. It's like we could be doing so much right now. We could be doing all this, Build Back Better stuff, all the infrastructure, all the Medicare for all. We could be, we could actually, as a country, we could be
doing it.
Right.
We could be providing it for everyone.
Right. And and you have, so many of the politicians, people don't want that. They want to be able to earn their way. And yeah, right. Sure, I'd like to, be nice to be able to make a sufficient income to have, to be able to have a house or go to school or whatever, but things have been commodified or monetized to the extent that it's not like it was 30, 40 years ago. And I can understand some of the generation Ys or Zs or whatever. I'm not sure which ones are which, but I can understand them being irritated about it, because it's kind of like, you look at the way things were 50 years ago, a time,
I'm about to do a 50-year reunion.
Yeah.
It's just hard to believe. At the 40 or 30-year reunion was like, we were never supposed to get this old,
Yeah, it's, but you gotta, or to me, one has to consider what these kids have been what they have now, what they've inherited.
And what they have access to, which in so many ways is good, but...
Oh, yeah, it is. But, I mean, we may have, for instance, 10 years with the planet before it gets to a point that,
living outside is dangerous.
Well, there's a guy that's, he calls himself, he's a guru from India, and he calls himself Sad Guru, but he's riding around on a motorcycle to get people to realize that we have to replenish the soil, which of course that's not it's kind of a no-brainer, but people don't realize that. Most people are, who knows? Most people don't really know about the farming industrial complex and what damage has been done to the topsoil. I mean, it's like...
I'm a big advocate for earthworms.
Well, you know about it. I mean, you have some... You know about that kind of thing, but how many people know just a fraction of what you know? Not very many. And it's like, he was saying now to get the same nutrition out of one orange, say comparing it to 100 years ago, you have to eat 8 oranges. So it's like, we're getting increasingly malnourished, and I guess it's like people are making money on stuff, so who cares? It's like everybody can buy organic stuff or whatever, but a lot of people are. They don't have the resources.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that they may be in an environment where they don't have any soil available to them.
Well, that's true too.
And not any rich soil that you can just dig up. It would have to come in a bag, and you'd be paying extra money for them to put other chemicals in it that you really didn't want to begin with. I still say and that some of those, they kill the worms. It's just crazy.
I hadn't heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised. But I mean, it's like people need to be educated, and they need to know. I mean, it's like recycling stuff, and which may or may not be sufficient, but there's a lot of technological progress that's happening, but is it going to be enough before we get past that point where it doesn't make any difference anymore?
I don't know. It makes me laugh when you talk about recycling. We had some folks that were working. They were from I think they were born in the islands, and they came over here and they were doing some work. Nice young men, but then I look over and they're working on a home that the person who lived there is out of town, out of country actually. And they filled up the recycling bin with all this stuff that's not supposed to be in there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I write this diatribe writing and red writing. And when I looked at it, oh no, that looks like anger. And so I went ahead and tore it up, but it had to do with all this information about what is recyclable, what's not recyclable, what they need to do with everything that's in this bin. They haven't done it yet, and in fact, they haven't been doing anything for the last few days, but I'm hoping it's because of the weather. But the recycling bin didn't go out today because, I'm trying to take care of things while this person's gone. And they didn't know. And there's a lot of people who don't know. Recyclable stuff is paper and plastic with that triangle on it.
Right.
Not the plastic bags. You don't put those in these recycling bins. You
got to take them back to stores.
Tin cans, and that's about it. They don't take glass anymore, but you can bring that to the Sapphire backyard. They ask for donations to kind of keep that up too, where they're making glass into mulch, where it won't cut you, but it's like a mulch material. And then the plastic bags, you bring them back to the store. In fact, I have an ongoing, it's a protest. I bring my recycling bags to a store that I don't shop in because I want them to know I'm shopping somewhere else.
Okay, well, I guess that'll show them.
That'll show them. I don't know if they ever see it or not, but I make sure I bring all my bags there to recycle so they know that I'm not shopping there anymore.
Well, I take my glass and my bags to Target because I do shop there and they do recycle glass.
I thought Target stopped the glass, but if they are still doing that, that's great. I will appreciate that again. But I've been
it might have been a year or so ago with the COVID thing that they had a
right. They carry that glass to Texas for recycling.
That's entirely possible because
they do.
But that's got to be a law. It's got to be enforced because if it costs
good old Scott Angel promised that he was going to do something where plastic, you paid a deposit and it would be brought back and the deposit be paid so that we could help the plastic problem. But you see where that's gone.
No, I didn't even know that. But
last I heard, he was working for Trump.
Yeah.
But anyway, oh dear. So anyhow, I want to tell y'all something that you may not have known is that they put up a new statue over at the courthouse in Opelousas that's worth looking at. It has a statue of a bishop from France named Bishop Landry, and he's at the St. Landry courthouse off of Union Street. And he is a priest who sold everything he had so he could feed the poor in France during a famine, and even sold some of the church stuff. And anyway, it's his image. It's sculpted by a lady from New Orleans, and it's really beautiful. And the concept's very much like Rosa Parks. You can sit there with the bishop just like you can go to the Rosa Parks Transit Center and sit there with Rosa. Take a selfie.
I did that one time.
I know, me too. Take a selfie and post it to our Facebook page. Morning Coffee on Cypress Street Radio. We love those pictures.
Yeah,
we have an album called We Love Rosa.
Yeah, I remember. Seems like you took a picture of me sitting next to her.
Yeah, I probably did. And one of the most interesting ones is one that Suzanne Malbrough did of herself, where she made herself sort of a mirror image of Rosa Parks. So try and find that somewhere on your search to Dr. Google is what I hear he's called.
Yeah.
Dr. Google, and see if you can find that picture. We might provide it to our administrator and let him post it along with.
Well, you mentioned our Facebook page.
Yeah, our Facebook page. A
little bit. The Morning Coffee at Cypress Street Radio, AOC Community Media.
No, AOC Community Media. Wait, no. Morning Coffee on Cypress Street Radio. Bloop. That's it. Bye, y'all.
Well, it's AOC. Well, we still got
Do we still have
seconds,
some seconds?
I think. About
1 second.
Not too many, but
okay.
But of course, we'd like to see everybody on
4, 3,
Facebook.
2, 1, blast off!
We'll see y'all.